Welcome back to the farm. My name's Roz, also known as Passion Flower, and you'll find me here each week talking about my farming and creative life. I don't actually have a ton of farming news to talk about this week because most of my time has been spent dyeing yarn, which I'll touch on very shortly. But first, just a few bits and pieces. I did cut open and use one of the pumpkins that I grew, and success! It was ripe and it was delicious. I made a pasta sauce out of it in the Thermomix, just cooked it up with some other veggies and then blended it into a sauce, and it was really, really yum. There wasn't a ton of flesh in it, quite a lot of seeds, but it did taste good, so that is a success. I've still got one more that I haven't used yet, so I'm thinking maybe soup with that one. I'll try roasting it perhaps, and I will dry and save some of the seeds and try and plant them for next season. We had an afternoon storm one day this week. We've had some really lovely days, but we had this storm come in while it was still sunny. So that meant that we had this amazing rainbow form, and it was in our front paddock and went all the way across the road to the vineyard on the other side, and it was really, really beautiful. It's amazing to get a really full bright rainbow against a really dark stormy sky. So as I just said, most of my time this week has been spent on dyeing yarn. Dyeing, preparing, rescanning, all the stuff that goes along with getting yarn ready for sale. So I've had quite a big order of some new colours and some old colours, and I've been really enjoying getting really stuck into the dye pots and getting those done. One of the colours that I'm doing is Gumball Machine, which is the bright coloured one in this cowl that I'm wearing. It's one of the oldest colours that I've dyed up, and I love it. And I really enjoy dyeing it and seeing it dyed up. So it's fun to have done that colour again after having not done it for quite a while. It's a reasonably quick colour to dye really, considering how many colours there ends up being in it. I lay the yarn out in a pan with some water in it, and I mix 4 different colours. And I mix those colours twice. And then I pour the colours over in 4 equal portions across the yarn, blend all that in, flip it over, do it again. And then once the dye has soaked in from there, I pop it all into a warm pot of water and let it steam and cook to make sure that the colour has set properly. Then leave it to set overnight, and then the next day I then rinse it off and hang it out to dry. So the dyeing process itself doesn't really take that long. I can heat the water and pop some colour on, and then while that's soaking in, I can do other parts of the process. I can print out my labels, cut the holes in my labels, put the string on, get all the packaging ready, and then once the yarn is dry and reskeined, I can then do the labeling and have everything ready to go. Now, I do only have a small setup. It's just me dyeing yarn. So I use 4 cookers and 4 pots at a time. So I can do about 20 skeins in one session. And I think that's enough for me. So then that makes sure that I can be consistent with my colours, properly take care of all of the yarn. One thing that I'm really careful of is once the yarn is dry, I always reskein it. And I do that for a couple of reasons. I find that during the dye process, they can get quite tangled. Not necessarily knots, but tangled enough that if you were to just unwind it the way it was from the original skein, you can get it tangled up. So I like to smooth it all out and make sure that there are no knots or tangles in it. And the other reason that I reskein is because, especially with a variegated yarn like Gumball Machine, for example, it looks much better and truer to how it will knit up if it's reskeined, because it mixes the colours from being the solid blocks where you've put them to actually mixing them through a little bit more. I don't know, it just is my preference, and I also like to make sure that I've checked every single skein before it goes on sale. If I am just dyeing for stock for my shop, everything goes into plastic tubs once it's all done to keep it all nice and clean. But if it's for a custom order and it's going straight out the door, it will go into either a post-pack bag and sent straight out, or I put it into plastic and then that will go into a box and be shipped. I am so happy with the progress that I'm making on my Flamingo Lane socks. I have certainly turned the corner in my colour work knitting and have made a lot of progress this week. I am up to the second round of flamingos on the first sock. And it is so much better than it was before. You can see the pink is really popping out. The flamingos are looking pretty good. I have tried it on. I can get it over my heel. The floats are fairly even. There are a few wonky stitches along the sides where the needle changes, but I should be able to even those out with some blocking and just pulling the threads at the back once it's completely done. So after lots of trial and error, I feel like I have now actually gotten somewhere and I'm really, really happy with them. As I said last week, I have put my Radiate pullover on hold. I have finished the body and I've cast off the patterning at the bottom. I did put it onto a longer needle before I did cast off just to double check the length, and I'm happy with that length. Now the reason that I am putting it on hold is to finish the Flamingo Lane socks, but also I may have ordered some new needles that will be specifically for doing the sleeves. I ordered some short circumference Chiagu needles and I'm waiting for those to come in, and I really want to try them on this jumper. So hopefully I get notification that they're in early next week and I can get those and then get started on the sleeves. And once I have knitted with those, I will talk to you a little bit about them and my impressions, and maybe compare them to the Addi Crazy Trio needles as well, and to Magic Loop for sleeves, and maybe do a little bit of a comparison and a discussion about my likes and dislikes of all three. I've also picked up a whip that has been languishing for quite a long time as my mindless evening project where I don't really have to follow a pattern. It is the Nuvum by Martina Bem, and embarrassingly I've had this on the needles since 2017, and it was knitting for a co-worker at the time. She no longer works there, I no longer work there, but I still have this whip sitting in my knitting, and I really do want to get it finished now. It is absolutely ginormous. I'm not going to be able to show it to you properly. That is one end, and then it's all bunched up on the needles. I really do want to claim back these tips and these two cords that are in here as well. So it's basically just knitting around and around in a big circle with a few increases. I have a little bit left of the current ball, and then I have one ball left. So I'm thinking what I'll do is I'll finish this, and then when I start the new ball, there's a ruffle that goes around the outside. I'll start the ruffle with the new ball and then just do the ruffle patterning as per the pattern, and then bind off. Then I'll have to contact her, probably via Facebook, and try and meet up and gift it to her, because I've already knit 2 of these for myself. I don't need another one. This was specifically for her. She even bought me the yarn, so I feel really terrible that it's been sitting around for this long. So this is a good project to get done and out of the whip basket, and it will be nice to be able to gift it to her as it was intended quite a while ago. That's it for another week. Thanks for spending some time with me. If you're enjoying these videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel And I look forward to seeing you next week on the farm. Bye.